want to check out my work or background, you can find my website, which is www.lindycowling.co.uk. And I'm out here in the English countryside, sitting actually underneath an oak tree. We thought we would take advantage of the natural light and the nice weather actually. I'm filming today with a young filmmaker from Focus Media Productions called Jordan Jackson. So Jordan's creative energy is what's behind the camera. We plan to bring out a short series of videos kind of all about kind of the work I'm doing and opening people up, opening people's hearts and getting them into that state of awareness. I use my background as a hypnotherapist, a healer, a medium, clairvoyant, and usually when I'm talking about the soul I will use channeling to a certain degree, but I'm using my experiences of the twin flame union, the twin flame template, of which I have around about 3.5 years physical living experience of. I will never talk on camera about anything that I haven't actually experienced or lived through directly. So I won't talk about theories, I won't talk about anything that I haven't had experience of. So today I want to talk a little bit about what we would call, what I've named the Disruptor Energy. In any kind of connection that you have, there can be outside interference, both negative and positive. And in the course of my spiritual awakening and my spiritual journey so far, I've come into contact with what's called a disruptor energy, or what I call a disruptor energy. I've also heard about this worldwide and with other people I've worked with worldwide. When I say disruptor energy, it is an energy that can mimic and confuse these spiritual connections. So it can come in around genuine twin flames, people that think they're twin flames but aren't twin flames, and the scenario is always the same. It seems to be an energy that works through the personality characteristics of borderline personality disorder and narcissism. They seem to be the biggest and easiest personalities to influence with this energy. What happens is you can have a spiritual or soul connection with somebody and it's growing wonderfully. You're going through what Mel and Nicole, Gold Ray Twin Flames, call the bubble phase, what we called Room 2 phase, where you're in this euphoria, you're in this very spiritual, magical reality. And I'm going to say that's the reality because the bubble phase and this spiritual connection and the enlightenment and all the magic is actually the reality. This isn't the reality. This is all with the garbage of the ego interfering and other people's expectations interfering, and it's a lower frequency. So what happens, you can be in a spiritual connection with someone. It doesn't have to be a twin flame. It's unlikely to be a twin flame actually, because there's only a small percentage of them here. But you can have this profound connection with somebody, and then suddenly, so many months in, or at a pivotal point in time, it can just go bang. For me and for many others worldwide, it went bang in 2012, just before ascension really swept in and got going. Do I think that's a coincidence? No, because ascension energy is an energy designed to get people to wake up and to be driven by the energy of the heart, and not by a lower frequency of the mind. So do I think it's a coincidence that worldwide many legitimate twins, many people that were in spiritual soul connections that weren't twins but that were still similar connections, do I think it's a coincidence that many of them, you know, went south at the same time in the same few months? No, I don't think that's a coincidence. But what happens is this disruptor energy can come in, it comes in around these personality characteristics, and the people involved can get very muddled, very confused, very much in a fog about what's real, what's not real. More negative energy can interfere with it in the terms of what we call entities, which is an energy that's not particularly helpful. It's more negative. What can happen is the twins involved, or the soul connections, the spirit connections involved, can get very confused. Their personality traits can change overnight. They can become very aggressive, very hostile, and go into a huge amount of control and fear. Yes, that can happen with narcissists and BDP personality disorders anyway, but what you will find is when there is outside interference with the disruptor energy, that gets even worse. This energy can take people down temporarily, or it can take them out of the equation permanently because of the damage that's done. What do I mean by damage that's done? I mean that by that time there is many negative actions and reactions carried out between the two involved. If it's a spiritual connection, one might have been under attack by the other one. An entity might have been working through that one to attack the other side of the spiritual connection. There can be all sorts of variations on a theme here, and it can be very distressing. But also another layer to this is when that happens and the trust is lost. Sometimes I also add in that family members around this spiritual connection can be used in the same way by that negative disruptor energy to take the unions down, or take the connections down, or damage them. What happens is, you know, there can be a muddying of the water. The energy can be very diluted. Like I say, there can be a loss of trust, a lot of negativity, a lot of hurt. And what happens is one or both of them will be propelled very violently into their emotional body. Yes, in genuine twin flames, they are also, as part of their evolution, they are, at some point, their frequency drops to go into their emotional body, to clear stuff, to clear blockages, and to let go of that old template. But this is why it's very, very confusing, this muddying of the water. But this disruptor energy does this to people worldwide, twins or otherwise. They're not just twins that this happens to. Many other connections, but it's always a spiritual and soul connection that's the trigger for it. Usually one of them in that connection is what we would call working spiritually, or in, I don't like using the word light worker, but in that kind of scenario. And what will happen is these connections will be very profound to begin with, and very quickly develop to something a lot more sinister and a lot darker. One of the people on the receiving end of it, or sometimes both, become extremely obsessive with each other. It becomes very negative, very dark, and they can't seem to let it go. It's almost go to the death mentality. One usually has that more in them than the other. The narcissist, they usually they have elements of that, but then they have this disconnect from the soul and spirit, so they don't usually. They have the obsession in another way. It's more control. You know, I want to control that person. And this has taken down a lot of these connections, but also I'm seeing it worldwide in connections that are nothing to do with twin flames, but people, mainly women, not always, but mainly women, are on the end of extremely bad behaviour, very alarming behaviour, quite dark behaviour by the other part of the connection, usually a male. And it derails them. It derails them for months, it derails them for years, while they can't seem to get it out of their system or move forward, or they've lost all their confidence, they've got post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, all these kind of things. Yeah, there's an overlap. You can get that in these genuine connections, but I'm seeing a lot of it that aren't genuine connections that it's happening in. Am I going to be negative about this? No, I'm not going to be negative about it, because I believe that everything happens for a reason, and people can learn from these negative connections just as much as they could from a positive one, because they are still driven. The advice is the same. You have to go within. If you're in a connection like that, whether it's genuine twin flame, whether it's a twin flame union that's failed, whether it's not twin flames and it's something that's just mimicking it, whether it's some kind of catalyst, I still try and think of it as positively, because you will learn from it, you will grow from it, but you cannot stay on the receiving end of that, because it will drain your energy down, suck you dry, like air coming out of a balloon. There will be nothing left. So if you are in that, you have to move away from it anyway. You must disentangle yourself from it. If you need help disentangling from it, contact people like Mel and Nicole, Gold Ray Twin Flames, contact me. We charge for our services. We won't be able to do that freely, but if you want us to help you, we can work on this. People like Brenda Tenorelli in the United States, or contact people that can help you on the healing side of it, maybe even on the counselling side of it, on the post-traumatic stress disorder side of it, on the obsessive side of it. Get help, because if you are involved in the disruptor energy, they are very, very difficult to disentangle yourself from on your own. Try and look at it positively. It's a learning thing, it's a learning process. Thank you very much, and I will love you and leave you until next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.